Ja, Minna, Carl from Purple Misplaced. Today I'm taking a look at national economy, specifically progress, from designer Hiroshi Nishimura and publisher Korokorodou. This video is going to be a bit different than what I normally do on the channel because if you don't know, National Economy is actually a series of 3 games that have been published over the last sort of 5 to 10 years in Japan. And this box here that you see is sort of a repackaging of all 3 games together in one box that was recently on Japanese crowdfunding site Borofund. I did back this on that site. I know that there was an English version of this at Essen this year, but for right now, this is the version that sort of exists out in the wild, which is the Japanese edition of this game. And what I'm going to do is, because there are 3 different games in this box, I'm going to play each of them solo on a video. For this video, I will be just doing a playthrough of the solo mode for this one here, Progress. And I'll come back with separate videos with playthroughs for the 2 other games. And then finally, I will do one final video that is sort of a review of this entire box in all 3 games. So all you're going to see in this video is a playthrough from me. There will be no final thoughts in this video. The final thoughts will come in the future as its own video on the entire whole series as a whole. With all that said, let's head down to the table to see how the solo mode in Progress plays. And then you'll hear a little bit from me at the end, and I'll see you next time for the next game in the series, Messena. To set up a solo game of Progress, the first game in the National Economy box, begin by taking the 9 round cards, placing them in order from 1 to 9, setting that off to the side of the play area. Next, to sort of set up the starting locations or starting actions for the game, you're going to take these 3 standard starting cards, placing them out in this order, the sort of mine card, this construction card, and this school card. And then from this progress deck here, you're going to actually remove 2 cards for this game. And this is going to be slightly different for each of the different games in this box. But for progress, you're going to, from this deck, remove out these 2 cards, the farm card and this sort of factory card. The farm card will be added as your 4th starting location. This deck will then get shuffled, then dealing out 3 of those cards as my starting hand, and these can then get placed right there like that. Then that secondary card, that factory that I removed earlier, will get placed on top of that, so it will be the first card in the deck every time you play the game. We also need to place out this stack of sort of consumer goods cards. These are all basically exactly the same, except they all have a unique box and a fun little thing written at the bottom, but there's no need to shuffle them because they are all exactly the same as far as function is concerned, and I'll just stick those out like this. I also need to, somewhere on the table, place out these stack of debt cards. And then to continue my area, I am going to take 2 workers in my color. I'm playing as green this time, as well as the first player marker, which doesn't really matter too much because it doesn't do anything, at least that I've seen so far. And then my remaining 3 workers, which I can potentially recruit later on, I will place up here in the corner, as well as 2 sort of neutral workers that I might be able to use based on cards that I draft later on. I'm also going to take this player aid, which will walk me through the different phases of the game. Granted, it's all in Japanese, so this probably doesn't mean much to you, unless, of course, you read Japanese, but it will help me. On the back here, it also reminds me what each of the different rounds will add to the abilities or to the available locations. I'm going to set that over here on the side, and I may or may not refer to it as I move forward. The last thing we need to do is take this box, which is the money supply. But this game is going to have an interesting sort of double money supply in that we've got the sort of general supply, which can stay just like this as is. But then I'm also going to place this out as my sort of budget, and you'll see later on that money will move from the supply to the budget in a specific way later on as we play. But like that, I am all set up for gameplay. And the solo game of Progress is going to play out over a series of 9 rounds following this flow as shown here. And what's going to happen is first I'm going to place all of the workers that I have available to me onto actions. Then I'm going to recall all of the workers. I will make sure that I have 5 or fewer cards in my hand, and this is only mattering at the end of the round when this phase triggers. I then need to pay sort of salary to my workers, And then we're going to turn over the round card to become a new location in this row, triggering the start of the next round. There are a couple of small additions as well in the solo mode. And to start with, we'll be in that sort of placement action phase. So I am going to be placing out my 2 workers on 2 locations, doing whatever that location says. But the twist in the solo mode is that every time I place a worker into a location, I'm going to basically rotate one of the cards, the rightmost empty card, so that I can't make use of it, as if another player was using that location. So as I take actions, I'm also removing other actions that would be otherwise available to me, which is why the order of these cards at the start of the game matters. Right now at the start of the game, we have 4 cards. This card is going to allow me to draw one of the building cards. And this is the only location, at least currently, that I can place more than 1 worker on if I'd like to. This will allow me to build 1 building, and I'll explain how that works in just a minute. This one will allow me to recruit 1 more of my workers, but it's worth mentioning that if I take that action, I don't recruit the worker into my sort of available pool. I am going to recruit them at that location, which means at the end of the round, they will come back to me. I will need to pay that worker their salary, but they will not start working for me until the following round. This last one here, the farm, just allows me to take 2 goods cards. And these good cards are going to be basically useless, except that they can be used when we need to spend cards for any kind of action. Because this building action, which I should explain first, is how I'm going to get these cards, these building cards, from my hand out into the game. And when I play a building card, I need to discard a number of cards equal to whatever this number in the top left corner of the card is. And when I discard cards again, I can discard other building cards, or if I had some, I could discard some of these good cards instead. And when I build a building, it will get placed into sort of my own personal building row. And that's going to matter because the points that are listed here, you can see this sort of golden star, these points are what I'm going to score at the end of the game if that is still in my personal area. And I say if because during the salary phase, if I don't have enough money in my own personal supply, which I just realized I forgot in setup, I can sell one of the buildings that I've built, moving it from my personal area into the sort of common area, which again is just for me in this game, but it means that I'll no longer earn those points. But instead, I will receive money in the solo mode equal to half that value. So this 12 points would then become 6 money. And it's worth pointing out here that anytime I receive money from regular cards, I will be taking it from this budget area. But when I sell a building back into the sort of common area, I'm going to take the money from the supply. So this is the only way that we're able to increase budget, which is going to be very important later on because you'll see that there may be cards that allow me to take a lot of money, but if I haven't moved enough money from the supply into my budget, I can't collect that money to then use later as salary. Now, while I'm talking about that, I should start with 5 money in hand right away. So before I look at the cards in my hand, which I will show you in just a minute, I want to explain what happens next. So after I've taken all of my actions with my workers, I will recall my workers. I will check my hand to make sure I have 5 or fewer cards in my hand, and then I need to pay salary to my workers. And the salary required is going to be printed on the round card for that round. So here it says that I need to spend $2 per worker at the end of this day. And I am starting with 5. So as long as I don't increase the number of workers, I do have enough money. But it is worth getting more people for future rounds if possible, because then I can get more things done. The problem is then I don't have enough money. But it's not as big of a problem as it sounds because remember, I can only take money from here when I use a card for its action. So early game, it's also worth selling some things to put some more money into the budget, but you'll see how all of that works as I get into gameplay. Because it's also worth mentioning here these debt cards. For every dollar that, or every 1 money that I can't pay in salary to my workers, if I choose not to sell a building, means if I do not get that money, I will instead take 1 debt card per $1 that I don't have. So for example, if I was $3 short, I would take 3 of those cards, meaning that is a negative 9 points. But actually, I should slow down for a minute and clarify language here, because I am required to sell buildings to earn money to pay salary. And if I still can't pay that money, then I'm going to take those debt cards. So that's basically it for how the game plays. We are going to play out over 9 rounds. And at the end of the game, I'm scoring points for every building that's in my sort of personal area, as well as 1 point per coin that's left over, as well as some of these cards, which actually I can show you right now because I have one of them in my hands, will have this marking right here that says at the end of the game. So this one will score additional points. For example, here, this one is scoring me 6 points for every worker that I have. So I can collect other scoring conditions by playing cards throughout the game as well. So taking a look then at these cards, this one's also important because you'll see some symbols here and here on this card. This one says that I don't place workers on here because, again, this card is simply scoring me points per worker at the end of the game. This symbol as well as this symbol both sort of represent the same thing, and that is that I cannot sell this building during that salary phase. So if I don't have enough money, I still can't sell this building. This building will definitely last until the end of the game for whatever that's worth. It means I may not be able to pay my workers, means I may be ending up in debt. And this card itself, you will see here, scores nothing. It's only scoring 6 points per worker that I have. This next card is just a larger farm. It does have 3 costs to buy, 12 points at the end of the game. You see here, this one says the exact same thing as the farm, except this one lets me draw 2 cards, whereas this one is going to let me take 3 of those goods cards. And you'll also notice this little sort of leaf tag in the corner. There are some cards that will refer to those in the actions that those cards take. Last one here, I've got a restaurant that is a value 3 points 16. And it says I'm going to throw away 1 card from my hand and I'm going to take $15 from the budget. See, so if I didn't have any money in the budget and I activate this card, it's useless to me because there's nothing in here. So I need to make sure I'm putting money in there before any of these things mean anything to me. But I also do see that both of these have a cost of 3, but also will have different point values. So this is 12 and this is 16. So this would get me more money if I sold it than this one would. And remembering, once I sell it, it goes into the common area, so I can still use it later as a worker placement space. It just means I don't get the end game points for that card. So this is actually a pretty tough decision for the first round because I do have 2 workers. I cannot build any of these cards yet because the lowest value I have is a 3, and that means I'd need to take at least 1 more card of either the building cards or the good cards. But that means if I did, for example, take more goods and build a building, that's that, and I don't get any more workers. So I need to think about that, because if I want to get more workers, I can, but then I won't be able to build anything, and I won't have enough money, which means I will have to not sell anything, which means I will have to take a debt. So this starting hand does not sort of suggest that I should do that. So I am going to do this, which does take me 2 goods, potato field and a brewery, and I'll take those 2. And now I am going to build a building. And with that, I could build anything, because those 4 cards could go away for this, or any 3 cards could go away for either of these. This card does nothing for me except score points at the end of the game, but I might want to hold on to that. So if I keep that in my hand, I can spend 3 cards to build the other. So either I'm getting a better farm, which gets me more goods, which will help me build bigger things later, or a restaurant that's going to give me lots of money for very cheap cost. And I say that because you'll see coming out soon, some of these round cards, as they become worker placement spots, will also be locations where I can discard cards to get money. But this one is giving me lots more money. I think the next one is one card for $6. This is 1 card for $15, which is very, very helpful. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, I'm going to discard the farm and put 2 of those back again to build this guy here that's in my tableau. That is the end of the action phase. Let me keep my hand over here. These guys come back. I do have less than 5 cards in my hand. I have to pay for my workers. There are 2 of them, $2 each. Every time I pay it here. So I do need 1 change. So I am going to break that 5 into 5 ones, which means 4 of them were paid and I kept 1 of those. And that is the end of the first round, flipping over the round card. And you'll see here we've got this little shopping area that says I can, this is the one I talked about already, discard 1 card to get $6. And it says down here in a 3 to 4 player game, this can be used multiple times, but not in the solo game. And we'll see also here in round 2, we are still paying $2 per person. I have 1. So already I need 3 for them, and if I get another person, then that means I need 5 more, which means likely I'm going to be selling this building, but that's okay, because there's absolutely not 15 coins in there, so I do want to get that direction anyway. And yes, I already realized I made a mistake last time. Not really, I just want to point it out here. When I used that farm last time, this school would have been deactivated because that's the rightmost card. And then I used that. So I didn't make any mistakes, I just forgot to rotate the card. But that's going to be important here because I might make use of that this time. So that goes there. And then, I want to get a person. So that's going to make that turn. I do get another person now. And now with my other person, I can't build anything because I only have this card and it takes 4 to build. I could discard this card to take $15, except there aren't any. So I could take either 2 of these, or I can take 1 of these building cards. And I think I'd rather take the building card to give myself a little bit more understanding of what's going to happen in the next round. So let's do that. I take 1 card, and I get, which we knew was coming out because I put that on top at the start, the factory. And the factory says I can discard 2 cards to draw 4 buildings. So that goes into my hand. We are done for the round. All of these come back to me. This straightens back out. And now I need to spend 2, 4, 6. I only have 1. So we are going to sell this building. And because that's a 16, I get 8 back. 6, 7, 8. Like that. And I do need to spend $6 into there like that. So we do have 10 in our budget now. And 3 remaining. Cards are fine. We paid the salary. Round 2 is over. And now we've got this sort of farmer's market. And at the farmer's market, it says I can throw away 2 cards to get $12. So here you go. This was 1 card for $6. This is now 2 cards for $12. And looking at that, yes. The next one will be a different one. Just was trying to check the order of things that are coming out. But this small market, again, 1 card gets me 6, 2 cards gets me 12. But now I have this card here that 1 card gets me 15. So those are pretty much useless locations for me. But that's great because right now that means whatever action I choose first will simply eliminate this, which isn't meaningful for me at all. Problem is I only have $10 in there. And we're now 3 each, so that's $9 if I keep the people that I have right now. And then I get 3 actions. The question is, do I throw away a card to take the money to be safe? Or do I build something and sell it off? We're going to find that out in a minute because I'm going to come here, which does tap that. I get 2 of these cards again. I've got 4. And then from those, I'm going to go here to build, throwing those 2 away, and I'm going to build this factory. So realistically, I still have a card left. But I can either choose to grab another building, or I can choose to sell this off for 15, which really just means 10. But again, I'd like to have more money flowing in there early, and I wouldn't mind holding on to this if I can get it built later on. So I'm going to keep that. And instead, I'm simply going to, let's see, 12 gets me 6, 7, 8, 9. That's enough to pay for things without getting into debt. So I definitely don't want more people. I don't want to sell anything, and that should be gone because that got played. So I am going to do that and just take 1 more building. And we've got a chemical factory. And this says, if I have something in my hand, I will draw 2 cards. And if my hand is empty, I will draw 4 cards. But again, that's a 4 with 18 points on it. And that is the end of the round. They come back home. These straighten back out. And, I need to pay for stuff. My hand is definitely less than 5, so we are going to sell that off, which does get me $6 from here. 7, 8, 9 does pay for my workers, so we're good. We move into round 4. And I don't know how much space I'm going to have or how much space I'm going to need once I start building more stuff. This is now a high school. So I guess this is sort of like a primary school. This is a high school. The high school says I can go there and get up to 4 workers. So if I had only still had 2 workers, if I went there, I would recruit 2 to get myself up to 4. But because I already have 3, basically that is the same as that, just a different card to do it. All right, then, what am I doing? I can't build anything with these guys here because they are only 2 cards. I kind of want to get some money, but I only have 3 people. So getting money is 1, which means I lose a card. It means I have to do that, and that's it. But if I have $15, I can have 4 people. So I think that's what I'm going to have to do, get more people. So we're going to get people so that I have more actions for me later on, because this 15 is pretty powerful. The highest this will ever get is 5. So with 4 people, the highest I'll ever need is 20. And right now in there, there's 5, 10. Let's trade one of these in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 15. There's 19 in there right now. So I would probably like to sell one more thing before the end, but let's see what happens. I got a person. This is now gone. I am going to go here. I'm going here to take 2 cards. 1, 2. And then I'm going to go there and get rid of this card to take $15. Like that. And that is the end of the round. I've got a hand size of 3, which is fine. And realistically, after I did that, that would have tapped, so then I came here, but it didn't matter because I wasn't using those cards, but it might matter later, so I will slow down and make sure I'm doing that. Everybody's coming back home. 3 cards is perfect for my hand size. I need to pay. 3 times 4 is 12, so putting in 15 and taking 3. 1, 2, 3. Moving into round 5. Oh, now we got a supermarket. Supermarket's the same as the small market and the farmer's market. Now the supermarket says discard 3 cards for 18. Again, 1 card for 15 and 3 cards for 18 really doesn't change that much. And it gets me saving lots of cards. So yay, we'll stay there. Still $3, so I still need 12 this time. But I may end up selling something. We'll see. There's a little bit more money might be nice, especially if I want to get another worker. But let me see what I want to do. This drawing cards isn't bad. It's a great way to get lots of buildings into my hand. It's also worth 18, but I don't have any cards. This 1 per worker, sorry, 6 per worker right now is 24 points. If I get 1 more, that's 30 points. That's a huge card. I'd rather not get rid of that. But I do have 4 workers now. I say that because I want to use this building that will let me discard 2 cards to draw 4 buildings. But let's be smart about it. I'm going to do this and take 2 of these, which does deactivate this supermarket now. Then I am going to use, where did it go? This factory, killing that card, which lets me discard 2 of these and draw 4 new buildings, which is important because it's going to get me building stuff. Let's see, I got another factory. I've got this one here, can't be spent and isn't a worker action. It says, when I'm building, when I'm building, I'm going to take a worker, one of the neutral workers, from the supply. And I just want to double check because I've never actually managed to get a neutral worker. I'm pretty sure the neutral workers also count as needing to be paid a salary, but let me double check that. Yeah, and let me clarify, I did just check that. It doesn't say when building. It says when this is built, I get 1 neutral worker. And it says I get 1 neutral worker as a worker of my color. So yes, it's just like any other worker and I would have to pay them a salary. It just lets me have 6 workers instead of 5 if I played that. I'm not sure I'm going to do that this time. This one says you're going to draw the goods cards up until you have a hand of 4 cards. So if I already have more than 4 cards, that does nothing. And the fewer cards I have, the better that becomes. And this one here right now doesn't matter to me. Again, not a worker spot, isn't able to sell. It's only a 2, it does get 10 points. But it says at the end of the round I can have an extra 4 cards in my hand. But since I haven't even hit 5 cards, having an extra 4 right now is not super helpful. So really from all of these, I don't particularly care for any of them. I do have 2 more people left. So what I'd like to do is build something and get my money. So I am going to go there, which does kill this card. But spending 1 of these gets me $15 back. Yay. And then I do have a hand of 6 cards. I would kind of like to build this chemical factory because it will let me get more building cards in my hand. But also this card is gonna be worth a lot of money. But let's focus. We have money now. This card I could sell later if I need to. I'm going to build that. Coming here, spending those 4 that I decided I don't really want. That is 18 points. This is still in my hand. That's the end of this round. All 4 of these guys come back to me. And I would kind of like to have 5. Actually, realistically, if I had pushed to 6 with that other card, I could have scored even more points with that. But I think 30 is a pretty good number. Yes, these all reset. We need to spend 12, so 10, 11, 12 like that. This is my personal area. Let's keep it a little bit separated. Hand size is fine. That is the end of round 5, moving into round 6, and we get another school. This time it's a university. And this one says I can instantly recruit myself up to 5 people. So since I already have 4, this is going to be the same as this is going to be the same as this. Well, actually, no, this is useless now because it's still 4 people. This will add 1. This will get me to 5, which ultimately is the same thing right now. So that's not a desperate move for me, but I do want you to understand that if I hadn't been getting people so quickly in the beginning, that I could do it all at once now, and I could have sort of been saving up money for it. But it would mean I've had less actions during my previous turns. Now, this card is a little bit annoying because I want to build it. And this card's going to let me draw cards. And if my hand is empty, I can draw 4 cards. But if my hand is not empty, which it isn't because of this card, I'm only drawing 2. We also see now that this is a 4, so I need 16. But if I can take 15, no. If I can take 10, so 13 would be enough. That would be fine. But I do want to get another person, which means I may end up having to sell 1 more something. But let's take our turn slowly. First things first is I want to. This I can use anytime I want. I'm going to start by taking 2 of those again, which I'm not even going to bother taking because that's that turn. I'm going to then instantly use those same 2 to take 4 more building cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, because if I can build something that gets me at least $10, it's not going to happen. I got a 7. I could get this 10, but for this card, I would need to discard 5 cards. But I can do that with 2 more people. But let me show you what I've got first. This is another one of those farms, same exactly as the one that's on the board. This here is sort of double building company, or building 2 at the same time, basically, is what it says. It says for the same cost, no, you can build 2 buildings of the same cost, only paying for a single building. That is amazing, even if it's not mine for the points. Being able to build 2 buildings in the last few rounds for the cost of 1 would be awesome. So I think that's likely what we're going to do, but let's see what else I've got. This is a landlord or a real estate agent. No, landlord was right. No, I guess real estate. Anyway, it says no action, no selling. This one is another end of game scoring that says at the end of the game, I will score 3 points for every building I have in my my personal building area. And this one is Pioneer. Basically what this says is that you can build one of these sort of green tagged buildings like I showed you before with the farm without paying anything, which is nice, but building 2 buildings for the cost of 1 could be huge moving forward, particularly if I built that 4. But I need 2 more things. But guess what? If I come here, which will now kill, whoops, that shouldn't have been killed. This one should have been turned off. Now this one is, I get to take 2 of these because my hand is not empty. So 1 and 2. There's another restaurant which we've seen already, and here's another one of those dormitory ones that let me have an additional worker, but I don't care because my last action this turn is to come here, spending all 5 of these cards to build this double construction, because now these all reset. All my people come back home again. I only have 6, but I need 16. So I am going to sell that, which will get me $10 from the supply, because that was a 20-pointer, which is sad because I'd love those 20 points, but that's great because 10 and 5 and 1 is 16. And what that means now is I have 10, 25, 6, 7, 8, $29 in my supply. And the highest this is ever going to be is a 5. So 5 and 5 is 25. I have enough if I can get money out to pay for everybody. So let's see how that works out. That is the end of the round. I do have less than 5 cards. We do go into round 7. And now we've got like a department store coming out, which is the same as the other shopping, except now I can discard 4 cards for $24, which is good, but realistically, a 15 and a 12 is $27 for 3 cards. So we'll keep that in mind. But now this guy needs to get built so I can start getting stuff out of the way. The problem is I really want workers, and we are still at 4, so that's 20, but that's only 15. And I'd really rather not sell another thing if possible. So I think I'm going to wait, because that's just in the 8th round. In the 8th round, which is the next round, there is going to be a building that comes out that lets me get a worker and use that worker on the same turn that I get one. So I think I might hold off and just try and save up some money, because with 4 I only need 16, which could be 15 and 6. Means I need 2 cards to get rid of. Let me see. 1, 2 for that gets me 4. So that's 2 actions. 4 would let me build this, but then I don't have another. So then I'd do 1 more, and then I could build a 4 and a 4 potentially, or I can get money if I need to. This is going to be tricky, but let's see what happens. Because I want this out of my hand so I can use this to get 4 cards next time. So I'm going to do that. Drawing 2 of these, again, losing that. Then I am going to go there, losing that. That means I won't be able to build double things this turn. That's a shame. But it is what it is. That has to happen. I'm taking 4 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there is another 4 there. And this 4 says that I get to draw 3 building cards, which might help in the last round to get lots of money. And double 4s would be useful. But let me show you what else we've got. I've got this one here that says I can simply take $5 from my budget without spending any cards. And 5 and 15 is 20, which is close-ish. But that means I probably have to lose that, and I don't want to do that. This one is a 2 worth 10 points that says I can build at a cost of -1. And this one here says that it's sort of a planning and architect company. This says from the building pile, I'm going to take 5 cards and I get to keep 1 of those 5. So this is a great way to churn through looking for cards that I really want to have. For example, so I can build double buildings. But right now, what I'm going to do with those 3 cards is, I could go here and get 18. Because I'd rather not sell things. It means I'm going to have to get a bunch of cards to build these next turn. But that's maybe okay. I'm going shopping. Hold on, but then what do I do for the next cards? Yeah, if that's the case, then I'm going to do this. I'm using this building first, tapping that to take 2 cards, because now I can have a little bit more option about what it is that I'm getting rid of. Here's a 5 that says, at the end of the game, any mark with a blue on a building is worth 8 points. And this one is a blue, and this one is a blue. So that could be really cool. I don't know if we're going to have 5 cards. We only have 2 rounds left to build these double 4s, and maybe a 5? Could be, because I draw 4 cards from that. Yeah, then let's get rid of, just in case I need the coffee shop, I'll keep that, because that's free money, potentially. So that's 4 cards. But I won't get 4 cards from that anymore, because I'm going to have that 5. But anyway, I am coming here, spending 3, and taking 18. 15, hold on. 10, 15, 16, 17, 18. Everything resets. Everybody comes back. I've got 4 cards, which is safe. I need to spend 4 times 4 is 16. 10, 15, 16. Like that, which means we still have 2 left over, which is great. And we move into round 8. 2 more rounds left. I need to get some building done. I need to get some money making. I want to get that person out. And this is the building that says I get a person and I can use it right away in that round, which means I have to start there, placing this and getting a person into my supply. Which means I do now have to spend 25 this turn, which is tricky. Very, very tricky. Because instantly using that means I can't use this building for 24. But that's okay. It's not okay though, because I only have 2 cards to spend. No, we gotta it's very not okay. Yeah, you know, I'm gonna have to work to get this 5. And then next turn get to work to get these guys, I think. That's a problem. That's a problem. Then I might as well take 2 buildings, which are 2 junky things that you've seen before, which does kill the double building, which is sad, because now I could afford to buy it, but I can't. Then I'm gonna go here and turn 2 that I don't need into 4 new ones. This one you've seen before. This is the one that lets me draw up to 5 goods. This one can't be sold. It is a green tag. It's worth 0 points, but what this says is I can place a worker on here once to get 5 goods cards, and then that goes away at the end of the round. So it's a 1-use 5 goods. This one here says build 1 building and then draw 2 building cards. And that's worth 18, whereas the one I had before is worth 20 and does have that blue marker. And this one here, Car Factory, says throw away 3 cards from your hand and draw 7 cards. That's pretty cool too. But now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cards to play. I don't know. I could build something, but then it's probably going to go away because I don't have any money. Wait a minute. I've got 2. I need $24. No, $23. 18 plus 6 does it. Yeah, all right. Then I have to come 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I have to go there or I'm going to lose it. Getting rid of 3 cards that I definitely don't want. Yeah, let's say those 3. Which gets me 18, 10. I'm going to break one of these 5s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4, 5, 10, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm at 20. Then in my hand, I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards. Which means I can't really draw more cards. I only have 9 left in there, so taking 12 is useless. I want to just do 6. This should be gone. Again, taking more cards is useless. I could build a 4, but then I only build one of them, and I need to wait because I want to do that next turn. So I am simply going to go there, lose this card, and take $6. Which means I'm kind of messed up for the last round, but that's that. Everybody comes home. Straightening out all of these. Like that. We got to pay 5 times 5 now is 25. 5, 10, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good news is, again, that means 18 and 6 is 24. That's a good thing to see. Because as soon as I build these things, I can use these things. But anyway, moving into our last round of the game, we've got one last space that lets me throw away 5 cards to take $30. Which is great, except that's 5 cards. 3 plus 4, 4 cards will get me what I need. And I have to use that instantly right now. And I'm definitely not doing that. Then, I don't think I'm going to be able to build that as well. I do have 5 actions. But I need 2 cards, and then I can't get this. I need 3 cards to be able to build all of these things. 3 plus 5. But then also money cards. Yeah, no, there's no way I'm building that 5. Because that's 20 points. And this is only 16 if I build those 2. This guy right now is 6 times 5 is 30 points. That I need to build. And that's right there is 50 points. All right, so let's do that, forgetting about these cards completely. I'm going to take 2 goods cards, losing that. And then I'm going to trade those 2 good cards here, getting 4 new buildings. 1, 2, 3, 4. Which loses that. Nothing new in those cards. And then, yeah, I'm going to go here, losing that, spending the 4 cards I just got to build those 2 4s that I had. Like that. I'm in trouble. Because I only have 2 cards left. Means the best I can get is 21, 22, 3, 4, 5 is minus 9 points. But not really. It means I sell a building and only score half of that building's points. I can take 3 cards here. But that only gives me 1 more thing. Hold on. If I take 3 cards, I could potentially build something. But then I gotta sell everything off. 18. Is 9 and 9 is still not enough. Yeah, no, I have to. 3 cards is 18. I can do this and this to get 21. I think that's all I can do. Yeah, I'm kind of stuck. All right, selling 1 card to get 15. 10 and 5. Means this is gone. And yeah, I guess that's it. Selling this for 6. And that's the end of round 9. Which means everybody comes home. I need to pay 5 times 5 is 25. I only have 22, so I have to sell something. 22 means I am going to sell this one for 18 divided by 2 is 9. And I need to give 3 back. So 3 go in there. 1, 2, 3 minus 9, or 9 minus 3s, I get 6 back. And that is, unfortunately, the end of the game. So we didn't do very well this time, but I've got 6 points for each person, so that's 30. Plus 20 points for this is 55, 56. Bad news is to win in solo, you need to score 100 points. So my 56 is very far away from doing that, but that's sort of the way the game works. I've played the game a couple of times now. I scored mid-50s once. I scored 17 points one time. The highest score I've scored so far, felt so good, I thought for sure I was going to win, was a 93, which was really close. I think I may need to be a little bit more willing to take a debt or two, because if I took, say, 3 debt and I had an 18 building, that kind of thing makes sense. I also probably have to find cards that give me more things, use that 1 cost building to sort of cycle through these looking for the things that I really need, because this thing I could have built doubled 3 times and I did it once. So yeah, that's the game. Normally I would go ahead and take a look at components and insert. I will look at the components here while I'm here, just because, well, they're here. The money here is tokens. I do like that they're different sizes and shapes, very easy to see. I do love that this sort of mechanical thing of having these 2 sets of money because of the lid of the box really does work nicely, and it really does clean up very easy, because there we go, now it's cleaned up. The artwork on all of these cards is very, very cool looking. It's all kind of like, almost like a paper cutout, kind of very bold, very solid colors, which looks very nice. This stack of goods is quite hilarious. There are so many of these, and they're all different kinds of goods, and they all say different kinds of things on them. Let me see, I saw some weird ones before that I just wanted to show. I saw something about a banana from the future, but I can't find it now. I just saw this one's in English. It says, the deck is empty and the goods are all here. But yeah, I mean, they all have funny little things on them, or interesting things about different kinds of stuff. Let me see. Stuff is a little bit underwhelming, but this one says, even if you have double the money, you can't buy double the stuff. Yeah, here's the banana one. And again, I can only sort of 95 or even less, 85% read most of this stuff, but it says, would you like to send a banana to the future? It says, you just have to find somebody to bring a banana back from the future. It says, if you give me a banana, I'll give it back to you in a year. Just ridiculous things like that in these cards. But anyway, the point is they're all different, and they are all unnecessarily different, but I like it. It's cool that there's all of that in there. Lots of cool different buildings. There are repetition of them, but that's important because you will see things come out that you sort of are expecting to come out. The wooden pieces are quite nice. I mean, they're not mind-blowing by any means, but this little shovel first player marker is cool. These little characters are very nice. There are 3 other player colors, which are these red, blue, and yellow, and you will notice they are all marked with letters too, so if you're colorblind, you will be able to tell whose is whose simply by the letter that's printed on them, which is appreciated. As far as the insert goes, I am going to show this to you. I am planning on doing playthroughs of all 3 of these games and then doing a review of the whole set at once, but I will show you that what you're seeing right now is basically coming out of 2 deck boxes like this. All of the progress cards, which is this stack right here, comes out of this deck, whereas all of these round cards and all of these goods cards comes out of this sort of common card set. So every time you play one of the games in this box, you will use the games box itself plus the common cards. There's also a mini box that those debt cards come out of. There are also, for a different one of the games in that set, these +1 victory point cards, which you'll see when I finally do a playthrough for the other games, because as you see, everything does then fit into this box. So Gloria and Messina are the other 2 games in this series, but everything does fit in here, and I'm not going to make it all fit, but that fits in there with the deck box sliding. Nope, sorry. Let's do a little bit better. That goes there. The deck box fits in there. And now actually I'm forgetting how everything fits back in the box, because that does not work. And this is where I get to laugh at myself. You did just see a cut. Of course these slide over like this, and I'm sure you're all shouting at my screen. That's how it works. Of course it does. That goes in there. These little guys fit in there, and then that last top corner piece up there, realistically more like that. Up here is where all of the components like this inside a baggie will go right in there. So that is how the box fits. Yes, I was being silly. Yes, I don't know how to deal with space, and realistically, yes, this does kind of fit that way, although it just barely fits that way. Just like that. Sorry for the nonsense, but that's how the box looks. And again, I will come back with a playthrough for both Messena and Glory, and then eventually I will do a review for the entire box after I have done that. So you're not going to meet me back up top because there is no review for this in this video. This was just a playthrough. I hope that playthrough was helpful for you. As always, if you did enjoy the video, please remember to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon below. And I'll see you all next time. Thanks.